Today in the New York Times, this ad was published by the political action organization MoveOn.org. It shows General David Petraeus and headline, quote, "General Petraeus or General Betray Us? Cooking the books for the White House." There was a flurry of responses, including this statement from Senator John McCain. Quote, "This is a man who has devoted his life in service to our nation and has defended America in many battles over many years. Now he is the target of a despicable attack in one of our nation's most visible newspapers. No matter where you stand on the war, we should all agree on the character and decency of this exceptional American." And earlier today, I asked Democratic Senator John Kerry about the ad that was put in by MoveOn.org.
You know, I appreciate their sense of urgency, and obviously I appreciate deeply their commitment to a change. And they've been an important part of helping that to happen. But I believe that ad was just simply over the top. I think it's inappropriate, period.
Well, Eli Paris is the executive director of MoveOn.org, and Markos Moulitsas writes the blog, the big blog, The Daily Kos. Gentlemen, let me ask you, Eli, any second thoughts? You're taking some heat from a number of sides tonight about that big ad in the Times.
No, we stand by the ad. You know, if we had run an ad in 2003 taking apart General Colin Powell's statement to the UN, you know, I think a lot of the same characters would have come after us. But sometimes it's right to call a spade, and if someone had done that then, we might not be in this mess. That's what this was about.
Do you make it? Do you make the charge explicitly now in person that Petraeus, is it Petraeus? He's a traitor?
I think what we have in General Petraeus is someone who is spinning the facts about the situation on the ground in Iraq. That's a serious problem when our country is trying to figure out what to do in Iraq, to have someone who's using fuzzy math, glossing over the violence that's happening there, and telling a story that the surge is working when we have the GAO and a lot of other independent reports saying that it's not. And so I think someone needs to do the fact-checking and say what General Petraeus is saying does not add up.
What's his biggest lie today? You watched all day, I assume. What was his biggest lie as you see it?
Well, I think, you know, he said that they weren't counting, you know, he said they were counting car bombs because they count intent. This is the same policy that they use to decide, you know, to say if someone's shot in the back of the head, then we'll count them toward the violence. If they're shot in the front of the head, we won't. And the fact is that all of these are mechanisms actually to do the opposite, to drive down the numbers on what the violence actually is in Iraq in order to tell this false story that the surge is working.
Let me go to Markos Moulitsas. Sir, what did you make of the testimony today and the ad that ran in the Times this morning by your colleague here, Mr. Paris, sir?
Well, to me, you know, way out in California, it's almost amusing to see how in Washington, D.C., everybody's all up in arms over an ad. You know, we're in the middle of this bloody war, almost 4,000 dead, $500 billion spent, and people are going to talk about how inappropriate an ad is. I think it's patently ridiculous. And most people outside of the sort of Beltway environment really don't care about an ad. They want to see our men and women coming home safe and sound to their families.
What do you make of the Democrats' predicament? You're part of it. They ran to get elected and to take over the Congress as anti-war, but they're not ending the war. Markos.
It's frustrating. I mean, I can't fathom how a party that is on the right side of an issue, which is getting out of Iraq, with 60% or more public support and moral, being on the right side on the morality scale, still is afraid to move forward strongly on this issue. I mean, this is a party, I think, that has
what would you do?
years.
Let me ask you a question. You don't have elective office. You got a very powerful blog site. You're a very important person in the anti-war movement, Markos. So I'm going to ask you the question. You're sitting in that hearing room today. You're on one of those committees. You got 5 minutes with this guy, General Petraeus. What would you have asked him? How would you have grilled him?
I would have asked, quite simply, where they got the facts that they cited. Nobody seemed to ask them where these numbers came from and how they justify numbers that are such at odds with publicly available information from the Associated Press, from the United Nations, and from the Iraqi government itself.
Particularly what number?
The number of casualties, the fall of casualties over the last 3 months.
You mean the ones we're inflicting or the ones
they're using these charts? Huh?
The ones we're inflicting or the ones we're suffering? Which casualties?
No,
the
ones that Iraqi civilians are suffering. The ones that we're inflicting are really quite irrelevant at the end of the day. As you said, I mean, the issue here is there an opportunity to create a sort of a safe haven for political progress in the country? That was the benchmark that we were promised 3 months ago when the surge was announced. Of course, now they're changing the goalposts. Now they're saying they need another 6 months. We've heard the song and dance before.
Let me go to Eli, back again to you, sir. This MoveOn.org ad, how much did it cost you?
Cost about $70,000, which our members paid for.
Of course they did. Let me ask you this. Are you going to do any more ads?
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
What do you make of the impact? Are you surprised that people like John Kerry came out against the ad?
Well, you know, I think the Democrats actually, with all respect to them, you know, need to be sharper about calling a spade a spade. You know, General Petraeus coordinated on his talking points for days and days with Ed Gillespie in the White House. This is not an independent actor. This is someone who's pushing a political message, and I think that the Democratic leadership needs to come out and say that that's what it is. That Petraeus is not telling it straight to the American people.
To use the president's phrase down in Australia, do you think your ad kicked ass or it was a ricochet back to you guys? No, you think it achieved the goal? Bottom line, are you proud of this ad?
I'm proud of it. I think it raised this important question about General Petraeus's credibility, and a lot of people are raising that question.
Do you think he's a sleazebag? Do you think General Petraeus is a sleazebag?
I don't know him personally.
Well, give me the word, because you call him a traitor. You say he's betrayed us.
Look,
you use strong language in the ad. Back it up.
Well, what I know is the fact pattern, and the fact pattern is that again and again, General Petraeus has spun the facts, has misled the country about what is going on the ground in Iraq. You can call that betrayal, you can call it lying, you can call it whatever you want. It's a problem.
You know what I think, Markos? I want your view on this. In terms of what we're arguing here, what Eli's just argued, I think in one regard he's definitely got a case. Why would a general in the field call for a reduction of 30,000 troops if that wasn't to meet some political ambition to keep the Republicans in line on Capitol Hill?
Well, this is...
When the Army's always said they're undermanned, why would they say we're not undermanned unless they're trying to achieve a political goal with the Republicans on the Hill?
We've known from the beginning that the surge could not be sustained. I mean, this is something that the Pentagon has said before, that under the best circumstances, they still would have to have a drawdown by March of next year.
That's
so now they announce this as though it's some kind of great marker of success, when in fact this is something that they had noted was logistically necessary.
Well done, Markos. Well done, because that's something that Colin Powell said a couple months ago. I heard him say that there's going to have to be this reduction in force anyway come at the end of next spring, and all he's doing is declaring that a policy.
Right. So, I mean, this is not a marker of success.
Okay.
It's just reality. And of course, you know, to me, it's a little disturbing that the administration needs to spin all of this, you know, and turn it into some kind of case for the success of the war, when in fact people have already given up. I mean, people have decided in overwhelming numbers, not just in the United States, but in Iraq as well, that they want the U.S. home. People want them home, and they don't care if there's success or not at this point. It's almost irrelevant at this point. They want their troops home safe and sound with their families. I wear combat boots. I feel for these guys over there because I know what it's like to be away from family and friends for extended periods of time.
You served in the Marines. Let me tell you, you are Archimedes here. You found the lever, and you are working it to move the world, sir. You are moving the Democratic Party. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Thank you, Eli Patterson. We'll argue forever about that ad.